But basically, upstairs in our milling room, we have a couple different stone mills, traditional Mexican stone mills called molinos, which basically translates into mills. They each have these granite stones in them, 2 of them in each mill. And if you can imagine like a grist mill grinding flour or a mustard mill grinding mustard seed into mustard, that's kind of how this works. There's one stator stone and one rotor stone. They rotate like this, and the product comes from the middle, and it gets pushed out and cut finer and finer as it approaches the radius of the stone. And it comes shooting out the side between the 2 stones as a flowing liquid. Now we take the nib, and the reason it becomes sort of flowing and it converts from a solid to a liquid phase during the grinding process is the cocoa bean itself is incredibly oily. It's an oily seed. It has about 50 to 55% oil in it called cocoa butter. And that just depends on the variety of the tree. So when we grind it, much like when grinding peanuts into peanut butter, we grind cocoa nibs into cocoa liquor. It has nothing to do with booze, it's just what the industry calls ground up cocoa nibs. And this cocoa liquor is then mixed with sugar and then passed through another mill with a slightly different dressing on the stone, different groove dressing pattern. And then once it's ground up with the sugar, it's simply molded into chocolate bars. It's tempered, meaning it's taken through a temperature curve to make it so it has a nice shiny finish when it cools. Put through our depositing mechanism into a bunch of molds. It's cooled, demolded onto trays like this one, and hand wrapped. Once it's hand wrapped, it's packed into case boxes and shipped to any number of our over 400 retail stores that carry our products.
What's temperature curve? Is that like a refrigerator, an oven?
It's no, it's a special machine that cools, warms, and cools the chocolate.
So it's a refrigerator and
right, but it's not that extreme. It takes chocolate from about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is kind of cooler than most ovens, and then it cools it down to about 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and it warms it up to 93 degrees Fahrenheit, if you want to know exactly. And if you're off by half a degree, no. So it's very tricky. Have you ever opened up a chocolate bar and seen like a white sheen on it? That's what happens when chocolate's been exposed to heat. It's kind of fallen out of temper. The natural oils in the chocolate have migrated to the surface, so that white powder you see is actually cocoa butter. It's fine to eat. It just might have a different texture than you might want, and it shouldn't taste bad. It's just a little different consistency. So that part of the I'm kind of glossing over that part of the process. There's many incredibly complex things that occur, but we try to keep them very simple in terms of our process. Now, one of the things I was talking about this in the other room, we're called Taza Chocolate. Basically a call out to the tradition of chocolate as a drink. We make a chocolate here that's very unique. It's got a crazy texture, big, powerful flavor that we love. And it's different than any European-style chocolate, or even most chocolate you can buy in the store. And the reason for that is we minimally process. We roast very lightly. We grind using only traditional Mexican stone mills, and we don't do any European-style processing like conching or highly refining using steel roller mills or ball mills. And we keep that really intense texture and flavor of the cocoa bean fully integral throughout the process, so that when you eat our chocolate, it actually tastes like the cocoa bean or the ingredients that we're using. So that's why we do what we do and how we do it. The millstones that we use, we make basically two types of chocolate. We make a traditional Mexican-style chocolate, which is this round disc right here that we have 3 different varieties of it right now. This is a Oaxacan-style recipe. When I was studying how to dress the millstones and learning how to use the Mexican mills in Oaxaca, I studied under a molinero there who taught me how to dress the millstones and how to make chocolate. So these recipes are very traditional, authentic Oaxacan recipes. Very simple product: cocoa beans, cane sugar, and cinnamon or almonds or vanilla bean, depending on the flavor. We also make these bars, and these bars are like our creation entirely. We take the tradition of Mexican chocolate and we grind it a little bit longer, and we add in a little bit of cocoa butter to give it like a different, more more edible kind of mouthfeel, although we love eating the Mexican chocolate as well as drinking it. And this is something that is totally unique, and I think you all like it. If you haven't tried it yet, I highly encourage you to go down the hall and have some free samples.